Alrighty. I'm happy to be back on track now, and I'm going to present to you the best free tools to analyze user experience on GPU-enabled VMs. And the reason why I was able to go into deeper details with all these different tools is because I'm doing a lot of benchmarking projects. And I would regard myself as a performance data scientist on one side, but also I feel like a cameraman every once in a while, and you will see why. And I created this DEX for DAS name because I think this is exactly what we're doing. We are trying to create the best digital employee experience in DAS environments. All right, the thing is, what is it what the users want to see or want to experience? And you will not be surprised when I tell you it's not the CPU load, it's not the memory that's being consumed, it's not any of these aspects that we typically are monitoring in the backplane, in the infrastructure. So it's a lot more like, how long does it take to boot the machine and to log on, and the time it takes then to start working? How long does it take until the applications with content are up and running? What's the user input delay? So when graphical elements are, the reaction time of the system, when you click on something, how long does it take until these graphical elements are there? Are all graphics APIs supported? Are the media formats supported? If the media formats are supported, are they distorted? Are there any anomalies? And you will see some of these anomalies in a couple of seconds. What are the screen refresh rates that you get in the different environments? The screen resolution, the application stability, the application and session availability, and the resilience. These are the things that users are interested in. They don't care about the telemetry. They care about how they're able to interact with the system. And my focus is strictly on that. And this is why I built the EUC Score toolset, because nobody wanted to know these things except for Sean and Ruben and me in the past. So it was like a niche that we were filling. And for a while, people thought that we were weirdos because we wanted to know what the user experience is while anybody else was looking at the infrastructure. So I started building the tool set simply because there was nothing available in the market. And I used Visual Studio Code and AutoIT and InnoSetup and OBS Studio and FFmpeg for the screen recordings because, like I said before, I want to be able to see what the user experiences by using screen recording. And when I set up an experiment, a test environment, I have a primary device and a system under test. So the user, if it's a physical user, a real user, or a synthetic user, connects to the system under test. And I have connected a screen capture device to the primary device, so I can use a video recorder, OBS Studio or FFmpeg, to record what's on the user screen. On the system under test, I install so-called simulated workloads. I have an avatar that allows me to do things on behalf of the user. And I have this little tool called SimLoad Runner, which allows me to click on some of these simulated workloads and just run them. And there are no admin privileges required if I have a single user system, which comes very handy if I have a system like VMware Test Drive. I'm not an admin there, but I want to test the performance, and I can just download my tool set and deploy it on that machine in my user session without admin privileges, and off we go. And I can introduce a WAN emulator between my primary device and the system under test to simulate weird network conditions. And here's a gallery of all these simulated workloads that I've created over time. It's like 50, 60, 70 of these simulated workloads that I already have out of the box. But Typically, it goes beyond that when I do customer projects because they want to click manually, and I have a specific simulated workload that allows me to collect all the user interactions and later use them for analysis. This is an example of what I said earlier. These are artifacts. So this is a Blender video, and you can easily see the artifacts that are in the video. It's a screenshot of one of these videos. And many admins have never seen that kind of effects because it typically happens on the endpoint over a crappy network condition, over a crappy network connection. Another one is a video in a web app, and you see the smearing effect. It's a little bit, can you imagine what kind of support call that would cause? Like the user is calling support and says, well, my desktop looks like I'm under drugs because everything is smearing over the screen. And the support person will say, what kind of drugs did you take? So, and this is a screenshot of that. Like I said, many admins see that for the first time. It's like the outtakes in movies, what they show at the end. This did not work so well. And another one is a striping effect that you can see these two stripes going through the entire screen. It is something that happens if you have packet loss. So, and the remoting protocol cannot compensate that. Now, if I want to visualize the data, not only the videos, but also the telemetry data that I'm collecting and the user activities, I bring it into a tool that is called EUC Score Sync Player, because it plays back different data sets in a synchronized way. So on one side, the user experience that was recorded on the client side, on the endpoint side, and some of the telemetry data that was collected on the backend side. So this is what I typically do to analyze these activities. And it's like a video player, so everybody can use it who can use a video player. It's very simple. And if you configure it in a certain way that it's able to compare things on the left side, on the right side, you may have a reference video including the reference telemetry data, color-coded. Left side is yellow, right side is red, and you can compare them just by playing them back. I will not show that here because it's all about these little tools that I'm using, like here it is Blender. Another way to show user experience is the user activity on both sides. Again, left side, right side. And in this case, it is an RDP virtual channel extension introduced by Parallels. And they show you what it really brings from a user perspective. You can see on the left side, it is much faster because they're using this virtual channel to exchange information in a much faster way than the RDP protocol out of the box. It's really hard to explain to people, but here you can see it easily because you see the activity of the user. And sure, you can also watch it as a video, but only going through the text, through the activities, shows you the difference in the timing. So, in order to do that kind of research, I need tools. I cannot build them all. So whatever I can find on the internet that's free and I can distribute, it's perfect, because then I don't need to build it myself. If it's a make or build decision, no. A make or get decision, it's always get. I don't want to make it if I can avoid it. And these are the tools that I can just get. GPU-C is one of them for the system analytics. Many people know GPU-Z. You know probably CPU-Z. And this is the counterpart for the GPU. It's amazing how much information these folks who created this tool are able to extract from TechPowerUp. They're able to extract like all these details of the GPU, and they have a great website where they compare graphics cards. So TechPowerUp is one of my first websites where I go if I want to find out details about the GPUs, and then they have this wonderful, wonderful free tool that allows me to do that kind of analysis in my own environments or in my customers' environments when I test them. The next thing is, and there will be a separate session, so this is why I'm not going to dive into that, it's Remote Desktop Analyzer. So Ryan and Bram, they will present their session. I thought that I'm the last session, so I thought I can refer back to the presentation that already happened. In this case, it is like a sneak preview of the session that Ryan and Bram are going to do in a while. So I'm not going to cover more about that, but it finds out many things about the remoting protocols, and I love it. Another thing that I use on a regular basis is GPU Profiler, but it only works on NVIDIA GPU. It's an NVIDIA GPU analysis tool, and it was developed by somebody who works for NVIDIA, Jeremy Main. He works in Japan. He's an American who works in Japan, and in his spare time, he developed this tool. So this is why he gives it away, but it's not an NVIDIA tool. It's something that he gives to the community, and so it's not an official NVIDIA tool, but it gives you all the insights into NVIDIA. The next thing that I'm using, now we're looking at the benchmarks. Cinebench is something that I want to recommend. Please download it. Sometimes, I think the older versions, they're still free. The newer versions, there you need to pay a license, but this one, there are some of the Cinebench versions that are completely free, and I love to use them in customer environments simply because you can run them without installation. So this is one of the things that makes it very, very powerful. You can just copy and paste it to the target environment and run Cinebench. Another one that just can be used with copy and paste is Geeks 3D, the GPU test. As the name says, GPU test, it's a benchmark. So sometimes people see Furmark or Testmark, Pixmark. So these are all tools that come in this bundle, the Geeks 3D GPU test. So again, you have the download link here in the slide, and you will get the slide deck after this event. So you don't need to create screenshots, so we're going to distribute the slide decks. And you have seen it before, Blender, open source 3D creation and video production, including a benchmark and many free videos. So I really love to use the Big Bunny videos because, like I said, they're free. They create a lot of load on the system, and so it's a great test tool. All the different Blender videos on one side, but you can also download and install Blender and interact with the Blender user interface. I described it in our keynote and earlier with this drone flight in the cathedrals. They created the raw material for Blender with the drone flights, with the recordings from the drones, and then they used this as the input material for Blender to create virtual drone flights, a very fascinating use case of one of my customers. The other thing that I use on a regular basis, but it requires an installation, is SpecViewPerf, the version 2020 v3.1. It combines 3D Max, CATIA, Creo, Maya, Siemens NX, SolidWorks, so you can run them individually, but be careful. If you want to run a full test, it typically takes more than 1 hour. So you need to be very patient. And what I did, I started breaking it down into the individual runs, like 3D Max alone, like it is here in the screenshot, and then also recording or collecting the telemetry data to see how much load does it generate, and creating the screen videos and feeding that into Sync Player. Fascinating insights into how good a remote desktop connection really works from an end user perspective. Emil Persson is a game developer, and he has a website, and some of his contributions there is software that is fascinating because he develops OpenGL and DirectX sample software. So it's like his playground. It's not the latest and greatest stuff. Some of the code is like 3, 4, 5 years old, but it's still very valuable because it sort of represents many of the products and tools my customers are using, because they do not use the latest software. Maybe they have something that is 3 or 4 or 5 years old. And so this is exactly what you have with Emil Persons. He is called Humus. That's his nickname in the gaming world. And so you can use exactly that kind of tools to simulate some of the applications that you find out there at customers. Now, if we go into the production of animations, Unigine engine is one of the favorite things that I like to use. Superposition from 2017, Valley from 2013, Heaven from 2009. So you see it has a long history. And I'm really waiting for something new, like a 2024 scenario. And it really brings your system under extreme test, under extreme load. So this is something. And finally, EasyBench. That is a free Unreal Engine benchmark provided by Steam. You can download it there, and then you can create those crazy workloads that you have on a system when running the Unreal gaming engine. So you should have at least 8 GB of video RAM. Below that, I would not try that out. So we can go into the extreme here. So now I have a little bonus for you, because that's another question that people asked. What kind of web applications are you using for benchmarking? Here is the list. I don't want to go through this list now. You have all the links. What I want to do, though, is I'm going to show you what these little web applications look like. Fishbowl, Monster, Car Visualizer. You've seen that many times. The WebGL Water, the WebGL Aquarium, Field, like waving grass. Fascinating if you want to run that. Like, you have the link now where all this is. Fluid particles. This is something that I found in the VMware test drive environment. Particle flow, vortex, an elastic man that follows your mouse. This is something that is really good to have the user experience if you're moving the mouse, what the elements on the screen are doing while you're moving the mouse, if it's quick enough to follow, because it moves the eyes where the mouse is. Jellyfish, the ocean demo, which is configurable. So wonderful, wonderful test applications. I want to highly recommend that you start using them, because you can just click on the links and start using them without any download, anything, and you will get a good impression of how your system runs. Now, if you want to know more about the EUC score stuff that is underlying, because I'm using most of these tools on a regular basis in EUC score projects, here are all the links that you need to go there, and it's a free download link there for a free version of the EUC score toolset. But what I want to say is, this is typically used in a very early phase of the project, or at a phase when something hurts. This is why the key benefits are, pain killing. Well, is there a potential pain? Is there an existing pain that I want to examine? If I want to prevent new pain by using a test environment, do I want to quantify how painful things are? Measure the chronic pains if it's happening all the time. And many vendors are using it, including Citrix, for example. They are using the tool set because they want to deliver less pain by design. So sometimes you will see Rodi present some of the results in the EUC score sync player. And if you want to have the full set, the complete tool set to use, if you are a community member and you want to share the results, you get everything for free. The Enterprise Edition, you get it for free if you are willing to share the results with us, with the community. So this is my offer. I can tell you it was very expensive to develop the tool set because I work with 2 developers and they both want money for their work. So it's not that I just do it in my spare time. No, it's professional developers. I pay for their work, and they're doing a great job. So I give it away for free to the community. Only if you want to use it commercially, reach out, and we're going to have a conversation about that. Johan, now it's your turn.